No, the same. It's that was they were done in Puebla and another kind of desert. And what I like about the desert is a place that in many societies that have lived in the desert, that the desert is also a place of contemplation. Even Jesus Christ lived in the desert. No, in certain in religions has to do. The desert has many points. You know, that is like knowing yourself, and I love the Mexican desert. That's so much is going on in the desert where supposedly there's nothing going on. And for many people, the desert is not appealing at all. For me, it's like an incredible place. And I have to reveal also that for me, it was very important, a book that is Las Enseñanzas de Don Juan, no? That it's a book that in certain way it defined the generation that was born in the 50s. Many of the people that were born in the 50s, this book changed their lives. No, so for me, it was important to look at the Mexican desert to a place for your inner transformation. No, this is called El Ahogado en Puerto Chuburná, después del huracán Isidor. You can see there the title in English. And so when the hurricane Isidor hit the coast of Yucatan, Yucatan was almost destroyed. So for me, it was the perfect place to do the next series, that is this one, that's the Ex Tenebris. And this again is myself playing like a drowning man. No? And I went to this place because, as I was telling, almost all my series has to do with failure, no? And disaster sometimes has to do with nature. Sometimes you don't have the way to get out of a disaster from nature, no? And we still are afraid of nature because nature can be really mean, no? And the nature itself, it's been said that human is violent, no? And that is their true nature, no, to be violent. But we have known how to tame our violence, no, because of laws, religion, whatever, no. But if you go deeper in this, is because nature by itself is really violent, no.
Well, we had a little taste of it today.
Yeah, yeah. So that type of, if you see, everyone today was talking about the rain, about the wind, because you're afraid that something could really happen, no? And these type of scenarios are the ones that change our life, that gives sense to our life in certain way, no? When everything your life is like playing, everything is happy, it could be boring. I think we need something that can shake us, that can make us cry, that can make us be afraid. I want this type of things. Again, I think it has to do with my own childhood, but what I try to do here in this place in Yucatan is to work with the disaster, the true disaster. Then I began working with, like you see, say, reality TV, because this was real. It was a disaster. It was, nature has done many destruction over there. So I went to this place to play roles for my camera, with me, sometimes with myself or with friends, and to confront disaster and destruction. And there was a short period after the hurricane that there could be a dengue brote.
An epidemic of dengue fever.
Yeah, so and there was a high risk of the dengue epidemic. So I made that representation in my own room, as I have dengue, no? And on the right side, you can see el vómito en calle 43 después del huracán Isidor. And if you see on the upper left, you can see the Virgin Mary, La Virgen de María, that is seeing this scene where a woman is in the middle of the street and she's vomiting, she's throwing it away, no? And for me, everything is staged. But I want to make this a stage because it's when you don't have control of your own body, that although you want to not to do it, your body says, I have to throw away. No? So for me, it was also like the supreme experience of aesthetics, not the throwing up, it's the act where you don't have control of yourself. No? And I don't know if it happened to you sometimes, but when you're once you see someone in the street that is throwing away, vomiting, it's so difficult not to see that people, to see them. And you don't know if you have to get close and help, or to just walk away, or to just admire the moment. Something that it's a kind of, yeah, you laugh, but it's contemplation. It's like something that will change your life. You will remember that forever. No? And that's called Primeros Auxilios. Estudio de paisaje con primeros auxilios. That's another series that is called Volutas de Humo. And what I try to do here is to confront again what was going on in my country. I began this series in 2006, no? And what I try to do is read newspapers, knew what was going on, and to try to represent something but with things that was really going on. No? So I travel all around Mexico, and with also making some kind of link or gesture with painting. No? Again, this called Estudio de Paisaje con Vómito número 1, no? Is also staged, and I went to these lonely places in the middle of the center of Mexico, and make this friend of mine she's called Gargana to make this performing act for me, no? And we drove, we saw the place. I make her dress with that great dress and play a vomit for me, no? On the right, you're seeing Estudio Marina con Sobreviviente de Tiburón número 1, and that's a representation of in this place. This is made in Colima, where there was a shark attack, where people were attacked by a shark. So I make this representation at the exact place where the thing has going on. No? And also, I'm trying to work with these classical genders, no? That it's landscape, marine landscape, still life, but trying to put it on a contemporary context of what the things are going on in my country. You know, that's my true reality. If you see, when I began making the first images, it was like a dream. It was like all what I thought, all what I tried to reach, and this is kind of a mixture between reality and what I imagine. No? So I'm reading newspapers and seeing what is going on, and they making a representation. So it's kind of a weird thing, because it's not just what I think is or what I imagine, is what I imagine because of the things that are going on in my country. And this is the last series that it's called Primeros Apuntes para una Teoría del Infierno. I have to tell you this. As I have told you before, I have a big influence in literature, and this is a homage to Salvador Elizondo and to his books that for me have been, or his novels that for me have been really revealing. And there's one novel that is called Farabeuf, Crónica de un Instante, where all the novel, or all the book that is a delightful book, it's around one image, that is the Lengche, la teoría, it's an image of ¿cómo se dice? De los mil cortes, it's a torture, it's a Chinese torture, and a true image. So all the novel is about this image of a Chinese that is being tortured, and when I read the novel, for me it was really a delight to make. I needed to know more about that image. I found the image, and later I found that George Bataille was his favorite image, that he has it in his typing machine every day to make his work. So that's this is a homage to to Salvador Elizondo. And what I'm trying to do right now is to be more free with what I'm doing. And all these people are healthy people that I'm changing or transforming them in the computer. So I'm putting them skin diseases. I'm working with their eyes, with their skulls, in certain way that it is not too obvious. But when you see it's a place of despair, where there's no light, there's no illumination, there's like the title of David, there's no escape. No, so that's the people that are these are the new generations that were born in the 80s in Mexico, that they have no escape, no future. That's what I'm trying to work with, and it has to do with hard numbers. It's when I read in newspapers about Mexican economics, it's been told that people that are born in the 80s are people that in certain way will have it really tough future, because there will be no the economic growth, no infrastructure in that has to do with health, with trying to buy their own houses, with many things. So in certain way they are doomed just because they were born in that period. So I'm trying to make a picture or a drama of the people that are behind me, the people that were born in the late 70s and 80s. So that's what this new series is all about. And
and Fernando was born in the late 70s.
Yeah.
Just missed.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to do with this series, where it's like a kind of a still scene of a movie or something that is going wrong, but it has for me it's like no future, no way to go. And in certain way there are metaphors. That's what I'm trying to do, is try to work with metaphors, but with things that are going on in my country.
Thank you, Gerardo. And now let's turn it over to Fernando, from the serious to the funny.
Yes.
So this is one of your first series of work. You want to tell us about it?
Yeah. Well, I began making photograph maybe at 18 years old or something like about that time. And this is about when I was 22 years old. And I was trying to make I was making pictures of my friends at their own houses. At that time, it's like the situation that we are, the time that we go out from our parents' house. So it's like, it's in somehow this series is trying to define myself to be like the people where I was around by. It's who I am, no? And it's the series, the point. It's in film. I start doing with 35 millimeters, and this is the point of this this series. It's about maybe 10, 12 images, and it's doing by cross process at that time.
And so are you directing the people in these?
I was it was my first series, and I was using Flash, and I was directing my friends, all my friends, and at this time you can see some of them are still my friends and some not, like life, no? How it changed life. And this is another series that I made in the 2004, and it's when I was a child. I grew up with all the computers and with all these media. I was raised very easy with all this, with the Nintendo and the computers. And in this series, I try to experiment with digital. It's my first series doing digital. This series is about the El Yo, El Super Yo y El Ello. El Yo, El Super Yo y El Ello de Fromm.
It's the psychic, the Freud's psychic.
The Freud.
The inside of the individual, the ego, and the.
And in this particular series, is trying to who I am at that time, and it's about making fun of very provocative images.
And obviously you're using Photoshop.
Yes.
Okay, let's, and this is from the same series, correct?
This is from the same series. It's called El Festín, and we want you. Or, for instance, the doctor, it's a friend from the childhood, and he came to see me, and it's a long time I haven't seen him, so he came for the first time. I see him with a in white
Medical suit.
medical, so it's very funny to have in this party, you know. So I bought for him this leg in the flea market, and I bought these kind of balloons and the paper on the walls and the blue carpet, and this a friend of mine come, and I put the dress, you know, that it's the blue dress, and a friend of a friend came with his daughter, and I spent time, and I went with my dogs too, and it's about this, and somehow it's defined the time of my life that it's a lot of excesses, and
where were you living at this time?
It's I was living in Mexico City, but it was the time that I go out from my father's house, independent.
Right.
So it's like you know, Home Alone, a lot of fun. No, so I tried to make a situation that concentrate all my what's going on in my life. So I'm doing this, and if you see, there's like a man says in the show. No, they told me it's very funny to see what's going on there, and he didn't find the bottle, the alcohol or something. What's going? And these people, there's nothing bad going on. So it's just a lot of fun but absurd and rare, no?
And then you have multiple images in there of some of the same people.
Oh, well, in the picture I do like maybe 10. At that time I was very, very poor about this situation, and I have just my camera. So I didn't have like these wide angles to cover all the space. So what I do at this time, it's doing like cinematic. Well, when I was child, I always want to do films, so it's a lot of cinema influence. And in this I was trying to reproduce all this atmosphere. So in this particular case, I moved the camera from the left to the right, and I was like doing 9 or 10 photographies to make the space I was trying to show.
Using multiple shots, small shots, creating one
yes,
large
multiple
space.
shots, maybe 10 shots, and a lot of post-production, but it's assemble. It's not that I photograph you and I integrate it in the picture. It's all there, but it's about this wide range of images, so I can make big prints and with a very good quality, and it's 4 megapixels or 6 at that time.
And do you use Photoshop for that also?
I always use in this kind of works a lot of Photoshop, because instead of my brother, I live and I through all this technology, so I experiment with all this. So it's very easy, or in somehow easy for me to work with this. I'm like a freak of computers at the time.
The child of computers.
Yes.
At the time he made that image, I was blown away because I never saw all the people at the same time in the studio. So when he showed me the image, he said, "How you do that?" I couldn't believe that image.
Now this is in a different setting. Where is this one?
Yeah, this one is in Oaxaca, in another city. I always do all my work in the city, or this one was in a road trip I do with these friends. For example, when I say by the night we are coming to the hotel and we are resting, and everyone was doing something. There are filmmakers and painters and videoists in this picture, and always. All the people are doing something up in this trip. So in this particular picture, I I was like resting, and I don't take pictures in the road or because I never try bring the camera and take shots. So at the night I tell them, hey, come to my room, hotel, and take something, and I put them in these positions. So it's like
you directed them.
Yeah.
You directed them.
I directed them, and of course there's still a lot of Photoshop doing all this image. For example, the woman in yellow is the same as the woman in purple. It's the same people.
The same woman.
The same. And I leave the cables because it's like the way I, being like a photographer, it's like my representation of the. And I try to make these people to be in a religious state of mind, because
and obviously the crucifixion pose reinforces that idea.
Yes, yeah. Maybe it's this one it calls
Neurosis.
Neurosis, and well, the title says everything, no? And it's about a very neurotic way to put all these cones and all these shapes of point shapes, no? And at that time it was my.
And this is actually one of the rare examples where you're performing in the picture.
Yes, it's well, it's me in the picture 10 kilos ago, and I was. It was my first house, so I was very happy to do what I want without anyone that tells me, hey, clean this or do this. So I paint all my house in green and blue, and and this is my first, like, it was my first week living by myself, so it was very interesting to do this picture and very important, no? So it's no furniture at that time in my house, so it was like, I want to do something, what's going on. So I tried to, I buy this cone that is glass of
drinking cup.
Drinking cups. And so I put all these, and I bought for this image in special. It's about all the images in this series that called Confined Space is about the spaces, and somehow it's the metaphor of what's going on the mind of the people are in the picture.
Who are depicted. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And in this one, you actually have a reference